Once upon a time, in a cozy little house at the edge of a deep green forest, there lived a sleek golden cat named Max. Max wasn't just any ordinary cat. He was proud of his job as the house protector. Every day, his owner, a kind old lady named Granny May, would scratch behind his ears and say, "Max, you're the best cat I've ever had. You keep my home safe from those pesky mice." Max would puff out his chest proudly and meow in agreement. He had never actually seen a mouse, but he had heard plenty about them. Granny May had told him stories of how mice chewed holes in the walls, nibbled on food, and left behind a mess. "Troublemakers," she'd call them. And Max was determined to keep his promise to protect her home. One cold evening, the rain poured down in heavy sheets, drumming against the windows. Max was curled up on a warm rug near the fireplace, his tail wrapped neatly around his body. The room was quiet except for the sound of the rain and the soft crackle of the fire. But then, Max's sharp ears picked up a faint rustling noise coming from the pantry. His eyes snapped open, glowing green in the dim light. He stretched his sleek body, flexed his claws, and crept silently toward the sound. Max was a skilled hunter. Every step was careful and quiet. As he entered the pantry, he caught sight of movement behind a sack of flour. His heart quickened. This was it, his first mouse. Max pounced, his paws landing just inches away from a tiny, trembling creature. The mouse froze, its small body quivering with fear. It was gray, with big, round eyes and a pink nose that twitched nervously. Max crouched low, ready to strike. But before he could, the mouse did something Max didn't expect. "Please don't hurt me," the mouse squeaked, its voice high and shaky. "I didn't mean to cause trouble. My name is Mia. I just came in because it's raining so hard outside, and I had nowhere else to go." Max tilted his head, his sharp claws still unsheathed. He had always imagined mice as sneaky and troublesome, but Mia didn't look like trouble. She looked scared and tired. "You're not here to chew things?" Max asked cautiously, his tail flicking. "No," Mia said, shaking her tiny head. "I promise I won't touch anything. I just needed somewhere dry to stay." Max hesitated. He wasn't sure what to do. Finally, he stepped back and sat up straight. "Fine," he said, "but you better not make a mess. And don't touch Granny May's food." Mia nodded quickly. "Thank you," she whispered, relief washing over her face. The rain didn't stop that night, and as the hours passed, Max and Mia began to talk. Mia told Max stories about the forest, the tall trees, the cool streams, and the other animals. She spoke of the stars she could see at night and the adventures she'd had dodging owls and foxes. Max listened intently, his tail curling with fascination. He had never been outside the house, and Mia's stories sounded like a dream. In return, Max told Mia about his life with Granny May. He described the warmth of the fireplace, the delicious meals, and the cozy bed he slept in every night. Mia's eyes sparkled as she listened, imagining the comfort of such a life. By morning, the rain had stopped, but neither of them noticed. They were too busy laughing and sharing stories. Max no longer saw Mia as a mouse to chase. She was a friend. A few days later, trouble came knocking. Granny May noticed tiny paw prints near her bread box. Her eyes widened, and she gasped. "Max!" she called, her voice sharp. "There's a mouse in the house. You need to catch it before it ruins everything." Max's heart sank. He knew those tracks belonged to Mia, but he couldn't tell Granny May that he had let her stay. He padded into the pantry, where he found Mia hiding behind a jar of sugar. "Mia!" Max whispered, his voice filled with worry. "Granny May is getting suspicious. You need to be more careful." Mia looked down, her whiskers drooping. "I didn't mean to leave tracks," she said softly. "I was just so hungry." Max sighed. He didn't want Granny May to be upset, but he also couldn't let Mia go hungry. "All right," he said. "From now on, I'll bring you food from my bowl, but you have to stay out of sight." Mia's eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Max," she said. "You're a true friend." As days turned into weeks, Max and Mia grew closer. They shared stories, played little games in secret, and even watched the sunset together from the attic window. But their friendship was not without challenges. Granny May, determined to rid the house of mice, set traps all around the kitchen and pantry. One evening, Max saw Mia scurrying toward a trap. His heart leaped in fear. "Mia, stop!" he cried, dashing toward her. He slid across the floor, blocking her path just in time. Mia froze, her tiny nose twitching as she stared at the trap. "What is that?" she asked, her voice shaky. "It's a trap," Max said, his tone serious. "If you touch it, it will hurt you. You can't stay here anymore, Mia. It's too dangerous." Mia's eyes filled with tears. "But where will I go?" she whispered. "The forest is full of predators. I'll never survive out there." Max's chest tightened. He couldn't bear the thought of losing Mia, but he also couldn't let her stay where she wasn't safe. That's when he had an idea. Max led Mia to the attic, a dusty, forgotten space filled with old boxes and cobwebs. "Granny May never comes up here," he said. "You can stay here, and I'll bring you food every day." Mia looked around the attic, her eyes wide. It wasn't as cozy as the rest of the house, but it was safe. "Thank you, Max," she said, her voice full of emotion. "I don't know what I'd do without you." Max smiled. "We'll figure it out together," he said. From that day on, Max and Mia's bond grew even stronger. Max made sure Mia always had enough to eat, and Mia made sure to stay out of sight. They spent their days sharing stories, laughing, and watching the world from the little attic window. Max no longer saw Mia as a threat, and Mia no longer saw Max as a predator. They were simply two friends who had found each other in the most unlikely way. And so, Max and Mia lived happily in their little corner of the house, proving that love and friendship could overcome even the biggest differences. They taught us that kindness has the power to change hearts, and sometimes the best friendships come from the most unexpected places.